Yeah, sure. Let's just waltz right into the nation's capital and take on one of the best teams in the East and come away with both points. Folks, this game came down to one save. Marc-Andre Fleury versus Alex Ovechkin at the end of the game. And guess what? Flower was ready for it. He makes the save. The Wilds get the win 4-3 in a shootout. Let's break down all of the particulars. The People's Post game starts right now.
You are Locked On Wild POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
4-3, the Minnesota Wild take down one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, the Washington Capitals, as they win in a shootout. And I just want to paint a picture as to just what the Minnesota Wild were up against in this game tonight. I'm not talking about a team that is, just Alex Ovechkin. The Washington Capitals came into this game second in the league with a 3.65 goals per game. Their power play operating at 22.2%, which is top half. But so many different players on this Capitals roster that can beat you. And the Minnesota Wild didn't let any of them do that. And they did so without Kirill, Jared Spurgeon, Jake Middleton. What more is there to say? This was a character win for the Minnesota Wild here as they just continue to rack up these points. Character win. This was a character win for this team to step up and handle some major adversity in the lineup. But a lot of it had to do with, I think, the things that we have been looking for from this team for a long time. The Minnesota Wild generated offensively more expected goals than the Washington Capitals did tonight. Think about that. They generated more expected goals than the Washington Capitals did tonight. The Wild generated 3.71 expected goals. Now, Charlie Lindgren did save. He gave up 3. So he did essentially take a goal off the board against the Wild. The Washington Capitals generated 2.3 expected goals. They got 3. So Marc-Andre Fleury played, I thought, great, as he has. This is just like the game against the Nashville Predators. The Nashville Predators generated just a crazy amount of expected goals, which means that they controlled the pace. They did a lot of things really well. And so your numbers as a goalie are not going to be great. The thing that matters is making the key saves and going up against Alex Ovechkin in the shootout and turning him away. And as Amanda notes, there was some sorcery involved in this one. Marc-Andre Fleury just breaking out the magic to come away with the key save at the time that it mattered most. But let's talk about this. So offensively for the Wild, we've talked over the last few weeks about the Wild needing to get further to the net, needing to get closer to the net and to push the issue. Get as close as you can as possible. So the Wild tonight had 45 unblocked shot attempts. 30 of those were low danger. 9 were medium danger. 6 were high danger. So 2/3 of the Minnesota Wild's shot attempts tonight were from the face-off circles and in. And that is gorgeous. That is just delicious to see for this offense. And credit to Charlie Lindgren for handling as much of that as he possibly could. But guess what? Ryan Hartman breaks his long goal drought, drives to the net, scores in close. Marco Rossi continues to do his thing. It's not an accident. You drive the net, your chances of scoring goals go up exponentially. And so many players who have just been riding some really unlucky stretches. Hartman able to finally get back in the goal column because he goes to the net. Marco Rossi has stepped up and taken the lead with Kirill Kaprizov out of the lineup. Let's make no bones about that. Marco Rossi has stepped up and taken the lead. And for as young of a player as he is in his career, to say, I got you, that's really nice too. But let's talk about the Yakov Trenin goal a little bit. That's just pure effort. That's just pure hustle. The puck that Charlie Lindgren is trying to play behind the net on the kill. And the fact that Trenin, who notably not a speedy player, beats all the other Capitals down the ice, takes the puck away from Lindgren and gets him absolutely like starfishing in the crease. It's one of the easiest goals Trenin will ever score in his life. It's just, it comes down to effort and guys stepping up and making plays. And the Wild did a much better job of that tonight than the Washington Capitals did. And you come away with a couple of points that if you would have asked me, if we would have done the January schedule episode, we're going to get that worked in hopefully for Monday. If we would have done that, I would have put this as an L with how the Washington Capitals are playing right now. Alex Ovechkin got his, but who has stopped him? Who has stopped him this year? Nobody. Not a person has stopped Alex Ovechkin, and in his career, he has 435 goals against the Minnesota Wild in 12 games. So obviously he's averaging almost 20 goals per game against the Minnesota Wild in his career, and the Wild held him to just one tonight. That is sensational work by the Minnesota Wild. This is a character win. I'm going to keep saying it. This is the thing that the Wild did not have last year. You take Kirill Kaprizov out of last year's lineup, you take Jake Middleton and Jared Spurgeon out of last year's lineup, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a win on the schedule. I don't think I'm breaking any ground by saying that. Just that you would be hard-pressed to find a win on that schedule last year with those circumstances. And the Wild almost relish it. They almost relish the opportunity to be the underdog and to be the one that nobody expects to do anything. And then they come into these games and they just continue to win. Just continue to check these boxes against top teams in the Eastern Conference. That's an impressive win and one of maybe the more impressive wins of the season for the Minnesota Wild. Let's get to the comments because we got to talk about Matt Boldy a little bit. Matt Boldy scores the deciding shootout winner. And when you're in a rut, when you're in a slump, you're taking any sort of positives that you can to try to stack good games together. Matt Boldy did not commit a penalty tonight. He hit iron. Otherwise, he might have scored in regulation. But how are you impacting the game when the goals aren't falling? He gets the shootout winner. You can't have, at that point in the game, that's as big of an impact as you can make. And he did. So I said in the game against Nashville, I was going to throw Boldy a break because I have been extremely tough on him. And now this is another game where those mistakes, those penalties, those frustration plays, you're not seeing them. Is the puck going in? No, but still, you're not committing the penalties that are leading to losing these games. So stacking another performance like that, eventually the goal drought in regulation is going to drop, but I think we're starting to see him turn the corner of this extended stretch of no goals. This is an interesting stat from Amanda. Rossi leads the NHL with 3 tying goals in the last 10 minutes of the third. He's up to 15 goals now, and he had 21 all of last year. Seems pretty likely that he's going to exceed that quite a bit, but it just, again, comes down to where the shots are coming from. He gets close, and he just is ready to strike anytime the opportunity presents itself. That goal that he had against Nashville, where he's able to kind of get down and muscle the puck in, that's an effort play. And he just continues to make plays and continues to be a huge piece, maybe the piece for this team, with guys like Kirill Kaprizov out of the lineup. Luke is dead on here too. For the first time in a while, we looked like the Wild team that started the season. I think some of that belief has come back. I think I think there's a little bit of frustration in that Nashville game after seeing Jared Spurgeon get knocked out. Some relief that Spurgeon's injury is not as bad as we feared it was going to be. And I think that was kind of a rallying point for this Wild team, as the results have not been what they had hoped for the last few weeks, but they're still right there. Like, think about this recent stretch for the Minnesota Wild. They go 4-6, and they still, with a game in hand, are just 4 points behind the Winnipeg Jets. So in a 4-6 stretch, the only teams that really gained on them were the Stars and the Avalanche. But the Wild are still right there with the Winnipeg Jets, because Winnipeg has lost 2 games in a row. So it's all still right there. It's all still right there for the Minnesota Wild. During this stretch, all you can hope for is them continuing to surprise. I fully agree. Wild Crush 44. And to just have people step up. Dylan's right. This team is stepping up without the top line. I could not be happier. They just are continuing to find different ways to get it done. And you just knocked off the team that currently has the most points in the Eastern Conference. That's a good road win. That's a good road win to go into their building, where they were 12-4-2 so far this season. And A, you secure a road point, but then B, you go win the damn thing. You go take care of business yourself. And they just, again, another solid win. Wild win. Boldy scores. Hartman scores. Fleury goes beast mode. Frost wins. Sam Darnold's a Pro Bowler. Who has it better than Minnesota fans today? Spot the lie. Been a good day for Minnesota fans. Finally start to beat good teams without Kirill. Makes it all the more impressive. So happy for Fleury. Got the last laugh against Ovechkin. Little veteran magic for Marc-Andre Fleury there on that final save. And just, I mean, I'll repeat it because it bears mentioning again. The Washington Capitals second in the NHL at 3.65 goals per game. They've got Ovechkin, but they had like 5 other players in double digits in the goals department already. And the Wilds came in and held them in check and gave themselves an opportunity to come away with the win. That's all you can ask for this tandem right now. Goaltending is such a strong point for this team. It's amazing. How strong of a point is it for this Minnesota Wild team? Well, let's take a look. Because I think as of right, we don't want the dead last. The Minnesota Wild are 6th in the league with 2.68 goals against per game. Their .913 save percentage is currently 3rd. And every night, whether it be Fleury or whether it be Philip Gustafsson, the goalies are doing what they need to do to keep the Wild in games. Give them chances to either extend a lead or to make a comeback. And there are always going to be shots that a goalie wants back. But if you can just hold a team at bay as if you're the Wild goalie, then that gives the team belief that they can get back into the game. And last year, how many games did we see the Minnesota Wild give up the first goal or give up early, like in the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game? It's deflating to have if you give up those early goals, because then you're like, oh, here we go again. Now we have to now we got to try to come back from a deficit. The goalies are not doing that here so far this year. So it looks like Hartman got the hard chain tonight. Very well deserved, and good for him for getting back on the goal sheet. That was his first goal in 20 games, I think. Hopefully that gets him going again. The Ducks beat the Jets at home, and the Buffalo Sabres are currently beating the Colorado Avalanche 3-1. Who's starting in net for? Oh, Scott Wedgwood tonight. Okay, so it's not a Mackenzie Blackwood meltdown. It's just Scott Wedgwood getting an opportunity to grace the net with his presence. Let's get to a couple of things here. Let's go to this with Britt. So apparently Spurgeon's injury is not as bad as they thought. Bill Guerin rarely let one slip. He did today in saying it's BS that Nashville's guy LaRue gets 3 games for what he did to Spurgeon, and Spurgeon's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks. So what that tells me is it is not any sort of a structural injury. I don't know if we thought it was a knee or an ankle. 2 to 3 weeks is not a structural injury. 2 to 3 weeks is a sprain or a strain. And so it's just about handling the soreness and stretching and all that jazz. So that's, considering how it looked, that is a major sigh of relief for the Minnesota Wild. And Jake Middleton has started to ramp up his return, his practice return. Still nothing on Kirill Kaprizov yet, but Bill Guerin said, we're going to play this safe. And that's absolutely the right mentality to take, because Kirill Kaprizov does not mean as much to you right now as he does in April and beyond. So they're being smart about it. The IR appointment was retroactive, which I think leads you to believe that he's going to be back before too long, because if it was going to be something that would require 10 games or 24 days, they would have just put him on long-term injured reserve right away. So what is the schedule like for the Minnesota Wilds coming up? They got the Hurricanes on Saturday at 6. Then they're off till Tuesday when they host the St. Louis Blues. I would imagine he'll be eligible to return. Well, he's eligible to return now, but I would imagine the earliest we see him is Tuesday against the Blues. And that's fine. You know, Carolina's going to be another tough team, but if you do what you did tonight, you got a good chance to win that game. So we'll see what is going on in the chat here. I don't know what's happening. The Minnesota Wild have turned road games into the home field advantage, 13-3-3. And Fleury with the shutout in the shootout is what we like to see. Minnesota Frost get a win today too, 4-3 in OT. Love to see it. And Canada is out of the World Junior Championships in the quarterfinals. It's a weird night. With all the injuries, the Four Nations kind of worries me with the timing. I'd like to see it start before the season to ramp up to the hockey season. I like that. I don't think the Wild are going to be. I don't think anybody that is dealing with any sorts of injuries is going to really play much of a role there. As much as the Minnesota Wild, as much as Bill Guerin put these rosters together, you have to talk to the GMs of the players that you're putting on these teams. If there's anybody dealing with anything nagging, they're probably not going to play a huge role in those tournaments. So if Jonas Brodin plays in the Four Nations like he did tonight, just had a monster Brodin game tonight. What did his final numbers end up as? 27 minutes. Okay, now I need to know what the shot attempts against were. So Brodin and Faber tonight played 20 minutes together. And they let up a good deal of shot attempts, but the shots on goal weren't too lopsided. They allowed just one goal against on 25 shot attempts against in 20 minutes. Against this offense, I'll take that. I'll take that pretty much every night of the week. This was a Flower legacy game. He has been more than serviceable this year. Stats are fine. Should honestly retire when he's putting on performances like that. Fleury was always going to come back and finish out one more year. You could argue that he still has enough left in the tank to still play after this year, but he's not going to. He's going out on his terms. He has achieved all of the goals that are possible for him to have in terms of the record books. Nothing else is remotely attainable for him. The only one I think is the wins, which can move our games started, I think, is the only one left that he's really chasing at this point. And he'll get that as the season unfolds. So it's just continuing to come up gangbusters for Z Minnesota Wild here as we go. Yeah, I was expecting that the Spurgeon injury was going to be an ACL just by how he went into the boards. But I guess the fact that his leg tucked like it did saved it. I don't know. I can't really I can't really fathom how that didn't end up being a shredder right there, but we'll take it. 2 to 3 weeks. And yes, Eddie, you are correct. You can, if you place somebody on IR initially and you need to extend it to long-term injured reserve, it's still from that initial retroactive date. So let's say for some reason Kirill needed the full 10, you could put him on long-term injured reserve. And if for some reason Spurgeon needs time, you can make those moves retroactive to his injury. So the Wild are still in good shape. Just got to get these guys back and roll with that. What is the best place to get these stats? I use moneypuck.com for the expected goals. They do a really good job of breaking down particular games. In fact, why don't I do this? This is not going to do anything for the audio crowd, but for the video crowd, why don't I just show you kind of what I'm looking at here? Can I full screen this? Yes. Okay, so this is moneypuck.com, and you can go to individual games and then I just go to the Wild game, and they've got a bunch of different things that they do that I like. For instance, the deserve to win O-meter, which takes all the different instances, shots on goal, all the other things that happen throughout the course of a game. And in simulations, if all of those different things happen, how often does a particular team come away with the win? Well, as you can see here, 72.5% for the Minnesota Wild in terms of the deserve to win O-meter, which they did. You've got heat maps here. I love this heat map for the Minnesota Wild offensively. All these different big green circles on offense. Yes, the Wild did give up plenty in close, but attacking as close as they did offensively is a great recipe to come away with goals. And that's something that the Wild have been lacking lately. So that was great that they were able to attack in those spots and come away with the goals in close. The greasy goals. They needed a few of those greasy goals in this one. So then you go down here in the scoring summary. It tells you the winning percentage based off of, how things play out for each particular team. But the thing that I really use it most for is it's got all the different stats here by individual players. Goalies, you can see here the expected goals against. That's where I pull that number from. And then it's got things broken down to like shots on goal against, where the shots came from, low danger. See, this I really like from the Minnesota Wild perspective defensively. Unblocked shot attempts on Marc-Andre Fleury was 52. 48 of those were low danger. Of 52 unblocked shot attempts, the Washington Capitals only got 4 from medium danger and in. That is a fantastic ratio defensively. And then it's got the numbers for line pairings and for defensive pairings too. It really is a one-stop shop for all the different stats that you would need over the course of a game. I'm just seeing now the spoilers on the ads there. It's my bad. I was so engrossed in what I was sharing that ad materials didn't pop up, I guess. That's Money Puck. That's my go-to from the stats department for most games. Rossi's face-off percentage tonight was not great. The Wild in particular got pretty caved in the face-off department here tonight. Rossi had 4 wins and 9 losses. So he was at 30.8% for the night. The Capitals just dominated in the face-off circle tonight. Dylan Strome won 10 of 15. Pierre-Luc Dubois won 11 of 15. Lars Eller won 6 of 9. And Nick Dowd won 8 of 14. So, and you expect that, I guess, if they're the home team. They get to dictate the matchups. But thankfully, it didn't hurt the Wild as much. But big thing that I am seeing here in the comments is that Scott Wedgwood has departed the game against the Buffalo Sabres with a leg injury. And the Sabres just scored to make it 4-2. And they're now they're on a power play. So good luck, Avs. So they lost. The Jets lost. Dallas beat Ottawa. But what else is new? Ottawa evidently can only beat the Minnesota Wild. But who knows? I am laser focused right now. Literally like to the point that you're not even blinking, just hyper fixated at what's going on in some of these other games, just as much as no way I'm a day over 30 or over 25. I appreciate that, but I feel like I'm definitely starting to show my age a little bit, courtesy of these bags. It's okay. It's okay. We and honestly, probably still a little bit of recovery mode from New Year's Eve. It happens. Capitals are a great face-off team. Having a bad night on face-offs against them on the road isn't a big deal, especially for the younger centers on the Wild. And it's all about what you do after you lose the face-off. That's the big key. If you give up a goal immediately, obviously that's bad. The Wild did not do that in really any instance here tonight. So you note it, you jot it down, and you move on. Oh my God, how many hits did the Senators have tonight against the... Oh, only 29? Wow. It seems like there were way more. But yeah, beyond that, beyond the Stars winning, it seems like it's going to be a banner night for the Minnesota Wild to keep pace with the Winnipeg Jets. And the Wild have a game in hand. So they could, if they win, they beat Carolina, they could pull theoretically within 2 points. The Dallas Stars have 2 games in hand, so they could potentially be 1 point back. And the Colorado Avalanche have 1 game in hand, and they are currently 6 points back. It's going to be a jumble at the top, just like we expected. We just didn't expect the Wild to be... just didn't expect the Wild to be up near the top at this point. Is Rossi going to be extended, or do the Wild not trust him and look to move him? I think the discourse on Rossi has changed dramatically this season due to Rossi's work himself, both in the faceoff circle, in every aspect of the game. I think Rossi has squarely moved himself into we are keeping you territory. I'm really not worried about Rossi not being here next year. I think the reason that the Wild are waiting to work something out with Rossi is because of Kirill's contract. I saw that take thrown out on X and have been in dialogues with people about that. And I think there's a lot to that. I think you kind of want to get a feel as to what Kirill's number is going to be before they lock anybody else into deals. Because Rossi's a restricted free agent. So you could do, if you had to, you could do arbitration for 1 year. If you really had to. I don't get the sense that that's on the table, but I think the reason that they've waited with Rossi is largely because of Kaprizov. And yeah, I think there's something to this too, is how much the cap's going to go up by, and how the rest of the season plays out. But at this point, like, he's a piece. He's a key piece. He's not just like a complementary little piece of the puzzle. He's a building block piece at this point. And Bill Guerin is not naive to that. He said as much, the thing that we were all hoping to hear from him. So I think that has helped calm a lot of those fears down at this point. Is Rossi a bona fide 1C? Apparently LaPanta and Russo say he isn't, but he's still great and they want him to remain on the team. He is clearly a top 6. Like, I don't think there's any question that he's a top 6 player. I think at this point, that's tough to say, because it feels to me like he's not quite a 1C, but he's more than a 2C. And it's kind of the same thing with Eriksson Ek, is they're both a step above a 2C, but maybe they don't give you all of the pieces that everybody looks for in a 1. But they're both key contributors. They're both top 6 pieces. And so at this point, I feel pretty good about going to battle with those two as your top centers when healthy. And I think if you put two very capable, I feel if you put two legitimate wings on either side of them, that the production is just fine. Like, if you had Matt Boldy with Joel Eriksson Ek and somebody that's a step above the other guy on that line, of which I can't name because that is a banned term for 2025. If you have somebody that's a step up above that, that's a good line. I think that's a line that works. And we've seen Rossi, Kaprizov, and Zuccarello work just fine as a top line. Because, the other part of this too is that the whole like first line, second line, it's all just matchups. Like, you play lines against different people depending on your opponent. And maybe one night you feel like Boldy and Eriksson Ek have the best matchup of the night, so they're the top line that night. Or Kirill has the best matchup, so he's the top line that night. It's all about which lines you think give you the best chance to go toe-to-toe with what the opponent has in store. In a perfect world, we have Ek playing third center with Foligno and Trenin. That wouldn't be bad. But I think that, oh God, the Avs scored, and now it's 4-3. Game has completely turned on its head. Yeah, this would be a good third line for sure. Depending on how the Riley Heights and the Danil Yurovs of the world come in and fill those spots, then maybe you can slot Joel Eriksson Ek down in the lineup a little bit. Is it possible for Yurov to come over by the end of the year the same way Kuznetsov did last year? It is possible. It just depends entirely on how his KHL team is doing. The reason that Kuznetsov got here as quickly as he did was because his KHL team was abysmally bad, hideously bad. So they didn't even make the postseason. Whereas Yurov's team went to the championship game and they won it last year. So if that happens again for Yurov's team, it's, that's getting you to like the end of April with their KHL season. So in that case, if they do make a long playoff run, probably not. But if Yurov's team has an early, if they have an early playoff exit, sure. Now, the one that I think has the best chance is probably Buyam, depending on how Denver does in the playoffs this year. If they get bounced early, I'll pretty much guarantee that Buyam is coming over, and would not be bad to have at all. I would really like to get him a few games, and it's not even to have him like you need him to produce for this team. I just want to give him a few games sample size before the summer so that he's got an idea of what he needs to work on in the off season. That's my big thing, is those little sample sizes at the end of the season are very beneficial to just give you a sense of where your game's at compared to the NHL and what you need to do to elevate. So if Denver gets bounced in the NCAA tournament, Yurov will be here within the week. Or Boyum will be here within the week. I can pretty much guarantee it. Hopefully Yurov's KHL team is bad this year. Let's just see. Let's just see how Danilo Yurov is doing so far this year. Metallurg, Yurov has 9 goals and 7 assists, 16 points in 32 games. And Metallurg, can you give me their I didn't want the roster. I wanted how the team was doing. Please. Okay, here we go. Metallurgs are 24-15, 1-1. 108 goals for, 92 goals against. 50 points. They're third in their division. Tied for second, technically. And their point total... 1, 2, 3, 4. There are only 4 teams with more points. Now, 9 goals in 32 games is not lighting it up level, but I was hoping I wasn't going to see this, but thank you, Shark Boy Ben, for pointing it out. They're not as good as they were last year. Yurov isn't being used the way he was. Even a healthy scratch at times, looking as though they are afraid he's going to leave. Well, then Billy better go over there and get him, because I don't really want to do the song and dance of, hey, we're going to sit you until you agree to sign for another year. I don't want to see that happen again. Just get him over here if that's the case. Get him over here, find a spot for him in the lineup, and prosper. Yeah, so that's not great, but I guess it's only one more year of this. Well, this year, and yeah. Well, and I'm sure they're in contact with him too. We'll see how the situation plays out, but I would imagine that if it's going a similar direction, that it's, yeah, send that private jet over, go get him. Send Kirill with, go get him. Covert mission in the dead of night, grab him and get out of Dodge. That'd be how I would do it. Maybe that's how I will do it. Maybe I do have a private jet at my disposal. Maybe I'll do a postcast on the way there. What else should we do tonight? So, well, it comes down to the money. Cave Wave Rider. It comes down to the money. They offered him like double or triple what he could get in the AHL. So he was bag chasing one more time, which I can't fault him for. Go get your bag and then come over here. He'll sign the ELC. They'll probably burn a year and just go straight to the NHL. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's going to be a few spots available to fill on the roster, but yeah, I'm gonna go gas it up right now. Just gonna take off in the dead of night and we'll make it happen. So right now the Wild are still 4 points behind the Jets, who, that is so weird too. that somebody pointed out, like, why does Hellebuck struggle against the bad teams? Let's look at his game log over the last, everything. So, lost in overtime to the Anaheim Ducks. They only had 24 shots on goal, by the way, and they scored 4 goals. Yuck. That is, he has had 1, 2, 3, 4. Connor Hellebuck has had 4 games all season in which he's given up more than 3 goals. Four games all year, and he has taken the most starts of anybody in the league. 24, 5, and 1 on the season. So basically, if you can get 4 goals past him, you're going to win. And in the games against the Wild so far, he went 26 out of 27. That was the 2-1 OT loss on October 13th. And then against the Wild on November 25th, 43 out of 44. In fact, what was his... let me see if I can get back that far. I want to see what his goals saved above expected was for that game. But it's going to take me a while to... it's going to take me a while to scroll back that far. What did I say? November 25th? Okay, here we go. What was his goal saved above expected? Connor Hellebuck in the game against the Minnesota Wild on the 25th of November had a 3.63 goals saved above expected. The Wild generated 4.63 expected goals in that game. Mother of God. Unblocked shot attempts. They had 54 unblocked shot attempts. 36 of them low danger, 11 medium danger, and 7 high danger. Wow. And the only goal that the Wild scored was a high danger shot. That is a goal. That is a goalieing if I've ever seen one in my life. And I've seen a few of them. But he's the best goalie in the league by far. And those are the reasons that he is getting paid the money he's getting paid, is to win those types of games. Any speculation on what the injury is with Kirill? From what I think I read in The Athletic, it's a groin injury, and so the Wild are being very cautious with it. I don't know the extent. Bill Guerin, I think, has tried to go to lengths to calm things down, say that they're just being cautious. I guess we'll find out when we find out. I was floored at the fact that they actually gave like an expected. Oh, do you guys want to just hear from Bill Guerin? The audio is up from Billy's presser from earlier today with timetables on the injuries. So I could let's just do this, because I haven't heard this yet myself. So we might as well just hear it together. The injury situation for all of the different Minnesota Wild players. Just let me get through this commercial here. And all right, let's do this.
Spurs? How bad is it?
You know what? It's not as bad as we originally thought. It's still bad enough because he's not in our lineup. So he's going to be week to week. And that's obviously that's not great for our team.
So week to week, though, you expect them back this season?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How just your reaction to the play? I mean, just how disconcerting is it? How disconcerting was it to see a kid that's got a history of this, commit that penalty?
Not happy.
Mm-hmm. Is it, in your opinion? I mean, obviously they have a collective bargaining agreement. Do you think his past history should have?
That's not for me. That's not for me to answer. That's a question for the league.
Mm-hmm.
The league has their process and they handled it. We live with that. In the end, it doesn't get our player back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me lose sleep at night is they get their player back in 3 games. Ours is out 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you get a chance to talk to Jared? How's he doing?
I haven't talked to him, but I spoke to him after the game. Obviously he's upset. It's been he's gone through a lot in the last calendar year with injuries and surgeries and things like that. So this definitely didn't, this is not the way he wanted to start the new year.
Does he have to have surgery?
No.
And when you said 2 to 3 weeks, just to make sure you weren't misspoken, you think it's that on that window that he'll be back in the lineup, that it's not?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm being told. So it's not my medical opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that.
And what's the latest with Kirill?
Still just kind of day to day. We're just still trying to, work through, what he has. The thing is that we don't want him to come back and push through it. He could, but it could make something worse. And we just we need him for the long haul. We don't just need him for, a couple games in January. We need him to get healthy and feel better. And so we're trying to do the right thing and just, see the, just look at it from a long point of view.
So he hasn't gotten worse, like perhaps a
No.
setback or anything.
No.
It's still of the minor variety.
Yep.
Sounds like some good progress from Middleton.
Yeah.
According to
Midsy's coming along. He'll hopefully be back soon. He's, probably opening beer cans with that finger tonight. It's his birthday. So he's got 9 others, but I don't know if he'll figure out how to use those.
Or pulling the tap.
Yeah.
Has Kirill started skating, Bill? Or is he still
No.
just laying low?
Yeah, he's laying low.
But Midzi is shooting.
Did you just answer that question? No.
Well,
Did you just answer that question?
Did I?
Yeah.
I might have.
No. That's a first.
according to Mike Russo.
I don't know why I said that. But
You're right.
Midzi
John
shooting
told
pucks
us.
and things like that.
Yep.
So,
He's really coming along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you expect him even back next week? I know he's eligible January 7th. Or it's still a while.
What's today? This second.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could be. I look. I don't know what's going to happen the next 5 days, but yeah, he could be. Yeah, he's getting that close.
Lauco?
No, he's status quo. Honestly, getting better. It's a lot like Kirill's situation where you just, he came back. It got aggravated again. He's got to give it more time, and we'd rather give it a little more time now than have it get worse and him be out for, longer.
Is it fair to say that Kaprizov's the groin? Can we say that? Or?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. But when you say it's like Lauco, are you talking the circumstance?
The
of him coming
circumstance.
back and
Yeah.
then hurting him? Okay.
With just the state currently of the blue line and the injuries you've had, do you feel the need to acquire defensive
No.
help?
No. You know what? Some guys are going to get an opportunity, and no, I just don't. I just don't see that. Like if Spurgeon's out, long term, then probably. But Midsy's coming back. Spurge is not as long as we think. So look, guys are going to be elevated in the lineup again. We've got, healthy defensemen, and they're going to get a great opportunity to play higher up in the lineup. And hey, you know what? That's the way it goes. You got to all hands on deck, and we'll be fine.
See just a rest, rehab, treatment plan then?
I should unmute my microphone. Apologies in the audio. I thought that would have been way louder than it was. But so here are the things that I take away from that. So the reason that Kirill was put on injured reserve is because of what happened to Lauko. Lauko tried to come back too quickly and re-aggravated his injury. And, now he's in a position where it's going to take him longer to get back in the lineup. So the Wild did not, they didn't want to take any chances with that for Kirill. Guerin slyly tap dancing around the groin injury speculation. But I think that's the right approach to take for sure. Middleton progressing. Spurgeon's not going to be out as long as was initially anticipated. And the entire team is upset as to how that situation played out with Leroux. As was pointed out, Dan Bradley, friend of the show on X, pointed out that as far as the Department of Player Safety goes, 3 games is a long suspension compared to what they typically do. But it's still, there's no place for that in the NHL. And he's going to have to pay the price for it. And he's going to get blendered by somebody from the Minnesota Wild on January 19th when these two teams play again. And I definitely am not circling that game. I definitely have not circled that game on my calendar. That would be foolish. Why would you do that? Look, it's Bill Guerin's right. It is going to come down to players stepping up to fill the void that has been left by Kirill Kaprizov, Jake Middleton, and Jared Spurgeon. Against Nashville, it was Marco Rossi and a couple of others. Tonight, it was Marco Rossi again and Ryan Hartman and Matt Boldy in the shootout. So it's just a matter of somebody taking the lead and then getting players to assist and fall in behind. When the Wild do that, they're pretty tough to beat. But when the secondary scoring dries up and you are having to scratch and claw for even a goal, then it's tough. Watch the Locked On Predators podcast, and they were saying you can't hold his past against him. Oh boy, you can though. I think we've got a tweet as to just how much he has been suspended. Okay, now I'm going to look for it because there's a tweet that shows all the different things that he's been suspended for. Oh God, I'm not going to be able to find it, am I? Crap. Where did it go? Well, he has a large amount of suspensions. And let's not forget, Leroux got suspended at a minor league level for going after a fan. So I think you definitely can. It's the same thing as if it's the same thing as if we would be if I would be working in a particular field and had some incidents at a different business, but then I was going to try to work for somebody else. They certainly can look into what you have done at previous stops. So I don't know why you would say that his previous offenses should not be taken into account, because he has many of them, numerous levels of them at all different levels. You know, if I find it, then I'll put it in a later episode, but there are a lot of them. He's had like 10 different suspensions in his hockey career. So that is that's a little bit more than just a one-off, to say the least. So I'm not going to entertain Well, thankfully, we don't have to worry about that because Buffalo's not trading Tage Thompson. So we don't have to worry about it. Oh, thank you, Eddie. Suspended 9 times in the QMJHL and twice in the AHL. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. That was one of the banned topics. Hartman scored and an assist. Yeah, he double dipped in the points department. Elite work. Yeah, I was dreaming. But that was also at the point in which the Sabres had lost 13 straight, and Joe DiBiase, their own host, made a video in which he said that they were in need of a culture change. At which point I'm like, maybe we could provide it. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay, I need to go to bed. Well, actually, I need to record an episode for y'all for late tonight / early tomorrow. So I am going to do this. Minnesota Wild win 4-3 tonight. Some positive injury news. But as I said at the beginning, this is a character win for the Minnesota Wild tonight by beating a Washington team that has been one of the best in the league for most of the season. That's an impressive win for the Minnesota Wild on the road without 3 of their probably 6 or 7 best players. So we'll see if they can do it against the Hurricanes, who also turned out to be pretty darn good. In fact, what are they at for a goal differential? The Carolina Hurricanes, 23-13-2. They are plus 24 in the goals department. And they are 14-4 at home. So that's going to be a fun one. So we'll have more on that coming up for you tomorrow. But that's going to do it. I am going to call it a night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to yet another Locked On Wild postcast after the Minnesota Wild pick up a 4-3 shootout win over the Washington Capitals. Make sure to hit that like button. In fact, you are forbidden from leaving until you hit that like button. So make sure to hit the like button before you head out. and enjoy the rest of your night. We'll be back with you with a new episode coming up tomorrow right here on Locked On Wilds. We've got you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.